The smell hits you before the sound does. It is a suffocating mixture of burning pitch, stale ale, and the sharp stench of raw sewage baking in the unpaved alleys of Cheapside. The night is April 30th, 1517. You are standing in the narrow, claustrophobic heart of Tudor London, where overhanging timber houses block out the stars, turning the street into a suffocating wooden tunnel. In popular imagination, the court of young King Henry VIII was a tapestry of shimmering velvet, endless banquets, and courtly chivalry. But the reality on these cobblestones is a powder keg of raw desperation, xenophobic fury, and starving youth waiting for a spark. That spark is about to ignite. You hear a low, rhythmic murmur echoing through the dark. It is not soldiers marching. It is the sound of thousands of young apprentices, shoemakers, watermen, and dockworkers beating wooden cudgels against the stone walls. In just a few hours, the festive tradition of May Day will transform into the infamous Evil May Day, a brutal night of urban terror where London tears itself apart from the inside. This is not a glorious rebellion for noble ideals. It is a desperate, violent hunt for survival in a city that treats its working class as expendable fuel. Imagine waking up every single day in this Tudor metropolis. Your life does not belong to you. As an apprentice, you are bound by legal contract to a master craftsman for 7 long years, working 14 hours a day in a freezing, drafty workshop. You sleep on a pallet of rotting straw beneath a workbench, your skin bitten raw by lice and bedbugs. Breakfast is a hard crust of rye bread dipped in watered-down ale, because the Thames River water will literally poison you. The social hierarchy is suffocating. While you toil for pennies, foreign merchants from Venice, Florence, and the Hanseatic League live behind fortified stone compounds like the Steelyard. They hold royal tax exemptions granted by the Crown, importing fine silks, wine, and luxury goods while dominating the export of English wool. To an ordinary Londoner, these foreign traders are like modern multinational conglomerates squeezing local mom-and-pop businesses out of existence. Prices for basic grain are skyrocketing. Rents are rising. And every time you walk down the street, you see foreign bankers dressed in imported furs while you shiver in grease-stained wool. The paranoia has been building for weeks. At church on Easter Tuesday, an extremist preacher named Dr. Bell openly declared from the pulpit that the English were being devoured by strangers, urging the youth to fight back. By the evening of April 30th, rumors spread like wildfire through the taverns. On May Day, the apprentices will rise up and slaughter every foreign merchant in the city. The city authorities panic. The Lord Mayor imposes a strict curfew for 9 in the evening, warning that anyone found on the streets will be thrown into the damp, plague-infested cells of Newgate prison. But trying to lock down thousands of angry, underpaid teenagers is impossible. When a local alderman spots 2 youths playing with swords in Cheap after curfew and tries to arrest them, a piercing cry shatters the silence. Clubs, apprentices, and servants. Within minutes, hundreds of doors fly open. Out spill more than 1,000 young men, armed with iron-tipped staves, meat cleavers, hatchets, and blazing torches. You are swept up into the human current. The fear is electrifying. There is no modern police force, no emergency dispatch, no riot gear to stop them. There are only night watchmen holding fragile lanterns, and they are quickly trampled underfoot. The mob surges through the dark alleys toward the foreign quarters. First, they attack Newgate, smashing the heavy wooden gates off their iron hinges to free everyone who was arrested for breaking curfew. Emboldened by victory, the crowd turns toward St. Martin's-le-Grand, a sanctuary district where foreign artisans live and work. The violence is swift and merciless. Wooden shopfronts are splintered into kindling with heavy axes. Chests of imported silks, fine leather shoes, and Italian glass are dragged into the gutter and smashed to pieces. Torches are thrown into windows, sending thick, blinding smoke pouring into the night sky. Families huddle on rooftops, clutching their children in terror as the mob screams bloodthirsty curses below. The rioters do not just want to steal, they want to erase the foreign presence from the city entirely. Suddenly, a solitary figure steps out into the firelight near St. Martin's. It is Thomas More, the respected undersheriff of London and a brilliant legal mind. He raises his hands, shouting over the roar of the flames, pleading for calm and warning the youths that treason carries a price far greater than their grievances. For a fleeting second, his voice carries weight. The crowd hesitates, but before peace can take hold, frantic foreigners trapped inside a nearby stone house begin hurling bricks and hot roof tiles down onto the street. A tile strikes an apprentice in the face. Blood spurts across the cobbles. The hesitation vanishes instantly, and the mob screams for blood, resuming the slaughter with renewed fury. By 3 o'clock in the morning, the chaos reaches its terrifying climax. Across the river, the Tower of London stirs. The lieutenant of the tower orders the massive bronze cannons to open fire directly into the residential streets of the city, firing solid iron shot into the rooftops to scatter the rioters. At the same time, the Duke of Norfolk and the Earl of Surrey march 5,000 heavily armed royal soldiers through the city gates. The steel halberds of the king's army flash in the firelight. The riot quickly collapses into a panicked, bloody rout. The retribution from the crown is cold, calculated, and absolute. Henry VIII does not tolerate defiance from the common rabble. Overnight, public wooden gallows are constructed across every major intersection in London. More than 300 young men and boys, some as young as 13, are dragged from their beds, bound in iron chains, and brought before the royal courts. 13 of the main ringleaders are immediately hanged, drawn, and quartered, their severed heads impaled on wooden pikes along London Bridge as a rotting warning to the entire city. The remaining prisoners, bruised, starving, and stripped down to their shirts with nooses tied around their necks, are dragged before the king at Westminster Hall. As their weeping mothers kneel in the dirt begging for mercy, King Henry stages a masterclass in Tudor political theater, granting a dramatic royal pardon only after terrifying the entire population into total submission. The evil May Day riots were not a heroic stand against oppression, nor were they merely senseless violence. They were the desperate, explosive scream of ordinary people crushed beneath the wheels of an uncaring economic and political machine. In the grand history books, the Tudor era is often remembered through the portraits of kings, the grandeur of royal palaces, and the drama of 6 queens. But the real history was forged in the mud and ash of nights like this, by nameless apprentices whose anger reshaped the streets of London forever. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, forgotten corners of history, hit subscribe to Past Legacy and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the brutal realities of the past. Leave a comment below telling us what historical event you want us to uncover next, and thank you for watching.